getting on?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Livingston County Board Thursday, May 13th meeting to order, please. The invocation will be led by Pastor Ambrose. Pastor Leonard was not available tonight. If you could come forward, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We welcome to you, Father, this evening in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. The word tells us in Luke 18:1, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, which means not to lose heart. Do not give in to doubt, fear, or unbelief, or discouragement, or use excuses for unbelief when prayer is not answered immediately. Rebuke and resist all opposition to the answer and all suggestions of a failure. It is a divine blood-bought right to get an answer, so do not lose heart. So we stand in faith as we pray for this county of Livingston, that your perfect will would be done at this meeting tonight. We trust you, Father, to give our board members the wisdom from you and grace to carry it out your work. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. And then we'll have a pledge of allegiance by Mr. Ritter. Okay, now we have roll call, please. Christy?
Vietti. Here. Bunning.
Present.
Kirkton.
Present.
Banker.
Present.
Berrickman. Slagle.
Present.
Fannin.
Here.
Steichen. Schaefer.
Present.
Menninga.
Here.
Kestner. Welch.
Present.
Carley.
Present.
Weller.
Present.
Ritter.
Present.
Mays.
Here.
Lovell.
Present.
Ambrose. Here. Blackard. Ehring.
Here.
Fitstum.
Here.
Arbogast.
Present.
Wilkie. Present. Runyon.
Here.
Okay, before we have the approval of agenda, just make a slight addition. We do have a presentation tonight. The sheriff would like to present new deputies. So with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as changed by Fannin.
Second.
By Ritter.
Second by Ritter. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. You have the minutes from March 11th and April 15th. Need a motion for approval.
Motion by Fannin to approve.
Second by Ambrose.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Now we'll have the sheriff come up and do his introductions.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I would like to thank the board for the way things have gone since my reelection in 2018. It's just been tremendous, the relationship that we have, and I can't say enough about that. We've accomplished many great things at the sheriff's office because of it, and once again, I can't thank you enough. I'd like to introduce a couple of our newest deputies and also our newest K-9. Deputy Graham Haley and Deputy Keith Simmerling with Deputy Myla Simmerling. Myla was just graduated last week from the Cedar Creek Training Academy in Monmouth, Illinois, where she spent 5 weeks with Deputy Simmerling, and she's now being deployed on the road in the evenings with Deputy Simmerling. So I'll let them come up and speak a few words about themselves, and then I'll come back to you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Deputy Graham Haley. Before this, I worked 5 years with Chenoa Police Department, And then I just recently transferred over here. I'm a crisis intervention officer, a juvenile officer, and this fall I'll be working at Tri-Point High School as a school resource officer. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I think I met you guys the last time, Deputy Semmerling. I've been with the Sheriff's Department for about a year and a half. Be at my 7-year police year mark in November, and I currently am working night shift with Mila, who thinks she needs to talk on the podium apparently. Mila is about 17 months. We just graduated from the Cedar Creek Academy. She's a drug detection dog, and she will also do tracking, which means because she's not an apprehension dog, she's less dangerous to deploy doing like missing persons, or if a juvenile to run away from the schools and we need to do a track, she'd be a good use. We've only been on the road a couple days, but we've already got 3 deployments on the road for detection, and one of those led to an arrest for crack cocaine, so she's already doing a good job.
Welcome, Mila.
Yes, welcome.
Has anybody got any questions about Mila?
She's cute.
Yeah?
John?
Someone have a
So
question?
is this one that, do they train them for the marijuana now or not?
Yeah, she's still, because it's illegal federally, and there's still a lot of, I don't think anybody actually comes across illegal weed at this point on the road. But yeah, she can detect it. She's also trained to she's imprinted on like fentanyl, MDMA, methamphetamine, cocaine, PCP.
Good, good, good. Gina, did you have a question?
Go get them.
Gina?
Good.
What breed of dog is she?
She's a yellow lab,
Pure.
imported from Colombia.
Bob?
Yes, did you say the academy is Cedar Creek,
Yep.
and that's in Monmouth, Illinois? Is that associated with Monmouth University? Is that a program of theirs, or is it a separate thing?
No, the owner of the company is actually, he works for Warren County, which is, Monmouth is the county seat there, and he's a sergeant on their department. It's an organization that he started up.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you give us a Reader's Digest version on how they train them for drug detection?
The dummy-proof version of it, I guess, is they bring them to what we call like protocol boxes, and then you introduce them to the odor, and then you basically associate that odor with, we use food as a positive reinforcement. So once she hits that odor, we train her to, she's a passive alert dog, which means she'll generally sit. Sometimes she can claw at the odor, but once she does that motion, then she gets fed, and then you keep continuing to do that. And then you work off of that, and then you end up proofing off of different odors. So then we'll take her to, like the state certification test is you certify in 20 different tubes, and I have to alert on 4 different odors you have to pass with 100%. And then in the other tubes that are not the live odor, it's distracting odors like tennis balls, dog food, chips, peanut butter, it could be anything. And she has to not alert on that. So we proof your dog off of alerting to anything other than the odor she's trained to detect.
Does she go somewhere for the state testing, or do they come to her out there at Monmouth where you guys were training?
We went there. The trainer is, there's like 10 assessors in the entire state that can do it, but then there's only one trainer through the Illinois Training Standards Board. So he travels everywhere, but you have to have an assessor to monitor and host the training, and he was one of them. So we got certified before we ever hit the road here.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've let them know that I expect great things from them. I wanted to, if I could, just take a few moments of your time to, I've tried to do the best I could in the last couple of years to keep you guys abreast at what we're doing at the Sheriff's Department and keep you up to speed and just share information with you. Some of you have seen me recently on Fox and Friends and Newsmax, and you've probably heard them talk about Protect America Now. So I've prepared a statement for you that I'd like to share with you on what Protect America Now is and how I got involved in it. In June of 2020, I was summoned and called to the White House twice within 2 weeks. And the first time was for me to sit on a round table with President Trump and Attorney General Barr and numerous others regarding policing reform. This came about during the time shortly after the George Floyd incident that I'm sure many of you are aware of. The following week, they called me back because the president specifically requested that I come and stand with him as he signed an executive order for policing reform. It was during that time that Sheriff Mark Lamb of Pinell County, Arizona, got a hold of me shortly thereafter and told me that he was trying to form a group called America Now, Protect America Now, and wanted to know if I would participate and be on the advisory committee for that group. And of course, first I said, let me think about it and tell me a little bit more about it. And he did, and it didn't take long for me to think about it. It's a very formidable group, and it has grown exponentially since we started it about 3 to 4 months ago. So just a short narrative of what we do. America's sheriffs are working hard on the front lines to protect their neighbors and support their communities. Protect America Now believes that the best days of America are still ahead, but there are many threats and attempts to make America less safe, less secure, and ultimately less free. Whether the issue is an attempt to trample on our Constitution and reject law and order, impinge on our Second Amendment rights, tolerate rampant illegal immigration, or increasing taxes on working families, all of these issues are attempts to make America less free. As the nation continues to debate what responsible police reform looks like, Protect America Now's advisory committee strongly recommends that all federal, state, and local government incorporate the following priorities in any policy reform to ensure community safety across the entire country. America is a nation of laws, and without respect for the rule of law and those who uphold it, our free society cannot prosper. No one is above the law. America's independently elected county sheriffs know their local communities and represent their local constituents by protecting their neighbors, not special interests. Any reform policies should respect and reward the independence of an elected sheriff who builds relationships with those they serve. Recognize and reward high standards for training all new sheriff's deputies in conflict resolution and managing behavioral health issues through funding that through funding that invests in safe neighborhoods and partnering with strong co-responders. That being said, I would like to notify you that I've been contacted by the National Sheriff's Association, which comprises of 3,080 sheriffs throughout the United States, to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C., as it relates to policing reform. This was going to happen fairly quickly, and then I was notified just today that it's going to be postponed for a couple of weeks, which I'm very glad of because that gives me a lot more time to prepare for it. But I just wanted to let you guys know that. Obviously, none of that will be on the county's dime. Protect America Now is paying for the travel and the accommodations, is what I wanted to say. So I'll keep you more informed, but you will probably see me again at the border next month, and then on C-SPAN at the Senate Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C., sometimes within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So thank you very much. Anybody have any questions?
John?
You mentioned the first officer is a school reform officer in Streeter. I thought that, or at least maybe it was just a draft proposal of the Illinois legislation a few months ago, that they took out that no police officers could be in schools.
They talked about that, but they eventually did not do it.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll come up again or not, but so far we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tony. And
Well, you know what? I really appreciate your support on that, and I think everybody realizes, and I appreciate the fact that you realize how strongly I feel about being your sheriff and about representing the constituents in Livingston County nationwide and worldwide when need be.
How many sheriffs are there overall? I mean, you said,
There's three, in Illinois,
well, I mean,
there's
in the country.
102.
Okay,
In the United States, there's 3,080.
okay.
And so while Illinois comprises of 102 that are part of the Illinois Sheriff's Association, that 3,080 is comprised of the National Sheriff's Association, which is all over the United States. We try to be. Yes, sir.
Tony, I'd like to say thank you with everything you do for our county. Good luck on your endeavors out there, and it's an honor for you to go out there. And yes, Bob?
I had my hand up.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob. Bob has something.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
Chairman Carley and I decided that we would wait until his report, but since you have brought some of these subjects up, we'll just do this now. I echo everyone else's sentiments there, and I think it is very important the work that you and your fellow sheriffs are doing.
Thank you.
There are forces out there that would have us be controlled by the top down and a federal agency come in and tell us who our law enforcement officer is going to be. And you sheriffs are our last line of defense because you are chosen by your people. So as far as I'm concerned, I have no problems. I encourage you and your service association what you're doing, and we are happy to share you with the rest of the country because you guys are doing a service for the whole country in addition to your own counties.
Thank you. Thank you. We're wholly and totally committed to maintaining the rule of law. And you are absolutely correct when you talk about there are some folks out there and some forces out there that seek to undermine the rule of law. And that's just not a good thing. In no way, no shape, no form or fashion. So.
Any other questions or comments for Tony? Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, deputies.
Thank you very much. You folks have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, Sheriff. Welcome, deputies.
Okay, now we move down to the consent agenda, approval of bills and appointments.
Motion to approve by Fannin.
Need a second. Gina, second. Okay, we need a roll call on that, please.
Fieri. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Berkman. Slagle.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Steichen. Schaefer.
Yes.
Menninga.
Yes.
Kestner. Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Blackard. Aaron.
Yes.
Fitstum.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Wilkie.
Yes.
And Runyon.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we move down to action agenda, committee reports. I will turn it over to Mr. Schaefer, Finance.
Thank you, Chairman. First tonight, we have Lori Pope from Mack and Associates to discuss the audit from last year. And she will make her way to the mic. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Lori Pope. I will be representing Mack and Associates. We performed the audit for the fiscal year ending November 30th, 2020, and I'd like to take you through a brief summary of our report. If everyone has a copy of their black bound audit, we'll go ahead and we'll get started right after the table of contents on page 1. Page 1 is our independent auditor's report. I am happy to report that we have issued a clean opinion on the financial statements of the county for the fiscal year ended November 30th. Again, these financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which means the accrual basis of accounting. And again, I wanted to just thank the administration and finance committee and finance team for working with us so diligently through some of the difficult times of the coronavirus. We seem to be going through some of the testing and procedures throughout a difficult time, but I just want to thank everyone for working with us throughout that time and making the audit go pretty smoothly. So thank you to you guys as well. The next section of our report that I'm going to go ahead and skip is our management discussion and analysis. And I just want to give you a brief explanation of what that's all about. And a GASB 34 reporting, we are required to provide this information. It's basically a summary of your financial statements and just a brief overview of some of the different happenings throughout the year and goals and strategies. But what I'd like to take time on this evening is to focus on the basic financial statements of the county, and those are going to go ahead and start on page 14. Page 14 is Statement A, and this is a government-wide financial statement, meaning it encompasses all funds and all activities of the county. This is as of November 30th, 2020. It starts at the top with total assets. We'll go ahead and start with cash and cash on hand. End of the year at $24.9 million, up from $18.6 million in 19. Certificates of deposits at $9.8 million from $11.9 million in 19. Other investments at $9.6 million, up from $8.5 million from the previous year. Total receivables are the next components of the assets, and what we're looking at there is different accounts receivable, meaning anything that may be due intergovernmental or other accounts needing to be received on fees at that time. accrued interest booked at $16,205, and total property taxes. This is the receivable of the 2020 levy, came in at $9,332,000. The next component is due from the state of Illinois, that's $692,000. And the next information would be the inventories at $25,491,000. The next component is the net pension asset at $1,358,000. And the next section of non-current assets were the capital assets, land and construction in progress that are not depreciable at $2,858,000, and total capital assets net of accumulated depreciation at $47,944,000, for total capital assets of $50,802,000. Total assets overall did increase from the previous year, a little over $5 million, at $107,889,000. The next section of this statement of net position is your deferred outflows of resources, and that is comprised of two basic components: the deferred outflows from your retirement benefits and the deferred outflows from the pensions, totaling $2,432,000. Total liabilities is your next section. We're looking at accounts payable, which is any bills incurred but not paid yet as of November 30th, coming in at $835,000. Accrued items at $886,000. Due to others at $3,891. We have the next section of capital leases. Due in 1 year payments of $71,194. Due in more than 1 year, $535,102. Compensated absences have also been calculated and accrued. Due in 1 year at $214,576. Due in more than 1 year at $1,216,000. The next component is your net pension liability at $1,237,000, and the net OPEB liability at $756,000, for total liabilities at the end of the year of $5,757,000. The next section of our report is deferred inflows of resources, comprised of three components. We're looking at the property taxes levied for subsequent years at $9,101,000. The deferred inflows from retirement benefits at $208,000, and your total deferred inflows from pensions at $4,008,000. The next section is net position. Your net position at the end of the year is comprised of many components. It did increase from the previous year about $2.8 million. It ended the year at $91,246,000. It's comprised of a few different items. The first one being your net investment in capital assets, which represents all of your cost less accumulated depreciation of all assets, minus any debt or capital leases that are associated with those assets at $50,196,000. The restrictions there, road and bridge at $1.3 million, retirement, including IMRF at $2.7 million, public health at $317,000, judiciary and court at $290,000, public safety at $180,000, record keeping at $272,000, general government at $471,000, insurance at $681,000, and total unrestricted, a significant increase there of about $3 million, so meaning dollars available to be spent increased to $34,834,000. If you'll go ahead and turn to the next page, page 15, we'll briefly go over Statement B. This is your corresponding government-wide statement. This is the statement of activities, which is going to depict your expenses and revenues for the year. These also include depreciation expense on assets. We are looking at the expense total towards the left-hand side of the reporting. Total overall for all primary governmental activities at $24,748,000. Charges for services, all fees, income through public safety, judiciary, transportation, public health came in at $9,432,000. Operating grants and capital grants there, as you can see, increased from the previous year quite significantly. You guys had about 800 and I think about 90,000 worth of coronavirus relief grants come in for contact tracing and other types of grant dollars that were used to fight the coronavirus and help prevent it. The total operating came in at $3,141,000, and the total capital grants came in at $498,000. Total general revenues are your next section. Total property taxes came in at $8,820,000. The replacement taxes from the state at $413,000. Sales tax at $1.4 million. State income tax at $1.8 million. Video gaming at $15,000. Cannabis use tax at $7,000. Motor fuel taxes came in a lot higher as anticipated at $1.3 million. Interest at $278,000. And total miscellaneous other revenues at $362,000. For total general revenues overall, that increased about $900,000 from the previous year at $14,514,000. The increase in net position is even greater than the previous year of $1.3 million. You added to the bottom line of your net position $2,838,000, ending the year at $91,246,000. Statement C is your fund financial statement balance sheet for all governmental funds. As you can see, this report does focus on the major governmental funds, with all non-major funds being aggregated in one total column. But for this purpose of presentation, we're going to go ahead and focus on the total governmental funds, and you'll find that towards the right-hand side of your report. We'll start with total assets overall. Those came in at $55,729,000, up from $50,852,000 from the previous year. Liabilities in total at $1.7 million, comprised of payables due to others and accrued items. The deferred inflows of resources are the property taxes levied for subsequent years, mostly inclusive of the 2020 levy at $9.1 million. And your total fund balances overall ended the year at $44,906,000, up from $40,915,000. So again, a year where you're bringing those revenues down to the bottom line of those fund balances. I'd also like to point out, looking at the general fund, even the increase there in that fund balance was significant. And overall, looking at some of the revenues for the 2020 fiscal year, those expenditures came in about $14 million. The revenues came in at 17, so bringing down to the bottom line a little over $2.3 million. And with the cash balances being where they are, there's significant cash reserves to, head off any, cash flow issues would never be a problem. So we continue to add to those fund balances, and all of the major funds, along with most non-major funds, are in a very healthy position. We'll go ahead and turn to the next page, page 17, Statement C. This is just a required component of our reporting. It shows the reconciliation of your governmental fund balances to the statement of net position. There are a couple components of the report of net position that are not reported for in the same way in fund financial statements, and those are your capital assets, the payables, the pension liabilities, and the deferred inflows and outflows. Statement D is on page 18, and this is your corresponding fund financial statement. This is an income statement, if you will. The title is Revenues, Expenditures, and Changes in Fund Balances. Again, these reports do focus on the major governmental funds, with your non-major governmental funds aggregated in total. But for our presentation purposes, we're going to focus on the right-hand total columns. As you can see, total revenues overall did increase about $2 million from the previous year. A lot of that has to do with the grant dollars that you received additionally in 2020. And I would like to point out that that did make a change in the procedures that we performed and the type of audit opinions that we had to express. So anytime you do receive federal awards and expend them over $750,000 in any given fiscal year, you're required to report and have a single audit. So a single audit means that we are not only giving an opinion on the accuracy of the statement of expenditures of your federal awards, but we're also giving an opinion on the compliance with the grant requirements. So I'm happy to say that we did issue clean reports in both of those areas as well. With that being said, we'll go ahead and go back to that report on the expenditures line items. Your expenditures stayed pretty consistent from 19 to 20. Those held consistent at $23.6 million for the year in total. And as I stated before, you guys did have revenues well in excess of your expenditures, and that was by about $3.992 million. So at the end of the year, total fund balance is at $44,906,000, with the general fund alone making up about $31.8 million of that. So again, healthy fund balances that the county continues to work with. Statement D, continued on the next page, page 20, is just another reconciliation that's required for GASB 34 reporting. This is to show the reconciliation relationships between the change in net position versus the change in fund balance. As we spoke before, those things include the capital assets, the depreciation expense, and the accrued payables, absences, and OPEBs, along with the net pension liabilities. If you go ahead and turn to Statement E, this is page 21. We're looking at the fiduciary funds of the county. We have there in total for November 30th, $10,261,000. Total liabilities overall, inclusive of accounts payable due to taxing bodies and due to others, of $4.9 million. And we have the total net position there, the township transportation projects at $5.3 million, for a total liabilities and net position of $10,261,000, which means the agency funds throughout the county stand at $4.8 million. The next page, Statement F, is a depiction of the additions and deductions in the Township Transportation Project Fund. We're looking at total additions of $5.5 million, up from the previous year. And then we had the Rebuild Illinois grant, which constituted most of those changes. The total deductions overall for transportation expenses at $3.2 million, for a total increase in that fund balance net position of $2.3 million, looking at $5,334,000 at the end of the year. The notes to the basic financial statements are the next component of our report. I'm not going to take you through those in any detail. I want to keep this short and sweet and informative. We went through those a little more at the Finance Committee meeting. I'd just like to point out that for additional reading and information to supplement our financial statements, you can take a look through those notes. It does describe the summary of your accounting policies, which none had changed from the previous year, and it does give depictions of all capital assets and other types of detail that will support those financial statements that we just went through. The next section of the report, the required supplementary information, is also a fund-by-fund detail of each fund of the county. I'm not going to take you through those in any detail as well. I'll just let you know that they're required for our reporting. They are inclusive of budget versus actual versus prior year. And we had no issues with any of those reports or any of the issues with the funds. So with that being said, I would just like to go over a few of the different reports that we have passed out in addition to our audit here. The first one that would be included with your report, I'm not sure if everybody has a management comment letter, so we have those. So I just want to take you through those. I am very happy to report, performing a governmental audit. It's not often when there are no findings whatsoever. I'm happy to report this year there were no findings on these financial statements, and we had no issues with the controls or any testing or audit procedures that were performed for the end of the year. This letter is just communication to the board and to management of the county to let you know there were some areas that we found areas for improvement or just plain information that we felt should be shared with those charged with governance. The first one, matter number 2020-1, is financial statement preparation. This is just an informative comment to let the board know that Mack & Associates has prepared this audit as you see it here bound with the financial disclosures, and the single audit was prepared, the statement of schedule of federal awards was prepared by Diane. So we find that there is no issues with the information that were provided. However, we do have to let you know that we have prepared these reports in the GASB 34 format as you see them, but we have no issues with Diane's review and her taking responsibility, as long as the board and the Finance Committee taking responsibility as well. So overall, in plain English, this is just saying that Mack & Associates has prepared these reports and you guys have taken responsibility for them. The next 2020-2 is expenditures in excess of appropriations. There were a few individual funds that had some overages in excess of appropriations. Again, nothing that would warrant a finding, just a comment that in the future, if there's an overage in a budget, that an amendment may be necessary. 2020-3 on the next page in regard to transfers. This is something Diane is already working on, and this should not be an issue going forward. Again, this is not a finding, just something we'd like to see done in a little more detail. She's going to be tracking some of the restrictions with the covered salaries and other expenditures that the general fund are using to transfer between the funds. We're looking for a little more documentation on the restrictions as it's reported. That's something that I find will be completely handled by the end of this fiscal year. 2020-4, there was one small bank reconciliation that wasn't completed. That was something that wasn't an issue for us. It was since taken care of, and I don't anticipate any issues going forward. And one last comment was just a comment for consideration that we're going to be working with Diane with. GASB 84 is a new requirement that has to be met in the fiscal year ending 2021 reporting. It has to do with fiduciary funds. So we're going to be working with Diane to give her some information so that she can make those determinations alongside of the different agencies or offices in this county to make those considerations if it's truly a fiduciary fund or if it's truly a fund that should be handled through the county. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to perform this audit. I'd like to thank all the staff that worked directly with us in providing the information and what we needed. And I'd like to open it up to you guys for any questions that you may have regarding this audit or the procedures we performed.
Anyone have any questions for Lori?
Awesome job, Lori.
Thank you very much.
Awesome job by the auditor, but the auditor is the reflection of the awesome job done by Diane, Alina, Ginger, and the department heads. So, clean bill of health, and this is a significant endeavor when you've got 300 employees. It's not small potatoes, so they've done a good job of keeping track, and we owe them a lot. So, not in the form of money, mind you, but Lori, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yep.
Okay, we need a motion.
I would so move.
Tim?
Second by Fannin.
Second by Fannin. Need a roll call, please.
Beatty?
Yes.
Bunning?
Yes.
Kirkton?
Yes.
Banker?
Yes.
Berkman? Slagle?
Yes.
Fannin?
Yes.
Steichen? Schaefer?
Yes.
Miniga?
Yes.
Kestner? Welch?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Weller?
Yes.
Ritter?
Yes.
Mays?
Yes.
Lovell?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Blackard? Airing?
Yes.
Vidstem?
Yes.
Arbogast?
Yes.
Wilkie?
Yes.
Runyon?
Yes.
Great. Thanks very much. Next item of business, we have with us tonight Adam Dons from the GLC EDC. Talk about a proposed substantial improvement in Strawn, Illinois from Slagle Manufacturing. Adam, would you be kind enough to favor us with a few remarks?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. What we have for your consideration is a property tax abatement for Slagle Manufacturing. I was able to present to the Finance Committee last week and received unanimous approval at the Finance Committee. The terms of the property tax abatement are a 10-year abatement, and the applicant, Slagle Manufacturing, would be doing the following. I'll walk you through the matrix and share with you what this applicant is doing in terms or in relation to what is required. To earn the 10-year abatement, 12,500 square feet or more need to be constructed. to an existing building. Schlegel Manufacturing will be constructing 30,000 square feet, or 2.5 times the basic requirement. With respect to capital investment, $1.5 million of capital investment is required, and Schlegel will be investing over $2 million. In terms of wage, our agreement calls for $34,148 for a wage and benefit package, and they've agreed that all employees that count toward the employee monitoring requirement will be paid that minimum, and they've even held themselves to a higher standard and said the average wage across the factory will be $45,000 per employee wage and benefit package. That makes them on the top end of the scale in terms of wage payers for manufacturing in Livingston County. With respect to the number of employees either retained or created by the expansion, we have one variance for consideration, which the Finance Committee approved, and that is they currently employ about 40 people. They've said they will hire about 5 more is all they can guarantee on new hiring, and so that's about a 50%. They get half credit on that component of the criteria. It was the opinion of the Economic Development Council, our board, and the Finance Committee that since they were doing more than double the square footage, just under 1.5 times the capital investment, and on the upper end of the wage scale, that we make that exception. I'm going to the school board in next week, a week from today. I've spoken with their superintendent, and their superintendent has not voiced any objection to this, and there's been some discussion with some board members, and we don't seem to have any real material pushback there. A couple of points for consideration. One, this abatement is only attributable to the new construction component, so it's not a reduction of current income or revenue to the county or any other taxing body. And two, while it's a 10-year abatement, in year 6, the county will be receiving, as will the school district. In year 6, you'll be receiving 25% of the property tax from the new building, and in year 7, 8, and 9, you'll be receiving 50% of the property tax revenue. So you don't have to wait till year 11 to begin receiving revenue. You start receiving revenue in year 6. That's our standard approved structure. So I would take any questions from anyone, but that is the bottom line of the components of this, and the Economic Development Council would seek the county's approval.
Any questions for Adam?
No questions, but I do have a comment. I'm glad to see that we've got a manufacturing plant in Livingston County that is not only just staying, but it's growing and creating more jobs and building.
We share that opinion.
Anyone else?
That being the case, I'd motion to approve. Oh, okay, Bill, sorry.
You say we're only doing half the jobs that's required?
Right. It's either retain or create a total of 80, and they'll be at about 45. So in theory, some companies wouldn't have to create any new jobs if their current employment were 80 or above.
I know things are pretty hard right now, but are we sacrificing job creation there, or to give them more for themselves, or? I'm okay with, I'm just we're kind of sacrificing what we're shooting for here, jobs.
Well, a few things. One, I would say that this has been a floor or a minimum requirement. If someone wants to come in and petition and ask for ask for more, it's not more in terms of time. It would be a greater request from the standpoint of jobs. They're free to do so. Frankly, going out on a 10-year period, I think the applicant said, look, we're confident we can maintain our job level. We're confident we'll be a high wage payer. We're confident that we will add some jobs, and in fact, we'll probably add more than the 5 that we say. But as the economy goes like this, and you hear the pundits talking about inflation and everything else, what the applicant didn't want to do is say, hold me to a standard of having to create 20 more jobs, enter into a recession in year 3, and then we have to go in and terminate the whole agreement because they're not compliant. So they took a conservative approach to what they represented was a realistic job number. What I would say is if you watch the operation of this company, they started it in their garage and now they're up to about 40 guys, and they're one of the highest wage earners, and they're just pretty conservative operators. You're welcome.
I'll tell you, Bill, I raised the same concerns last week to Adam on the phone, and when you take the 3 out of the 4 criterias and how they're going above and beyond on them 3, you know, willing to sacrifice a little bit here just to, I mean,
That's why I'm okay with it. It seems like you'd be paying more for those newer jobs rather than that one base that we were at.
Right.
Is the 10-year standard abatement?
Well, we have a matrix with a scale, 3, 5, 7, and 10 year. So it takes into account job creation, capital investment, square footage, and wage. And I can walk you through the scale at your convenience. The city of Fairbury recognized one applicant who was under the minimum standards, but Fairbury wanted to reward their investment, so they gave a company a 2-year investment. We didn't bring that to the county, but so there's some precedent for flexibility here, but this is meant to be a general framework and guideline.
Okay.
Anyone else? Sure, John?
Adam, their expansion, do you know why they're expanding?
They are
more
currently
equipment.
subcontracting their paint line out to another company.
And I think that company's in Indiana, so they are keep bringing some jobs to Illinois, which would help keep some in Illinois if I know the Slagle boys right.
That's correct,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good point,
Else?
John.
Okay, we have a
Motion
motion by
approved, young
Schaefer
lady.
and a second by Bunting. Need a roll call, please?
Vietti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Menninga.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Fidstem.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Wilkie.
Yes.
Runyon.
Present.
Jobs for other people, too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Adam, thanks a bunch. That's good work. Well done.
Adam.
Well done. Madam Chairman, the last 2 items, could we consider them together? They're both the same
Sure.
thing, 2 different entities. In our police vehicle replacement program, as you might imagine, replacement denotes that there's probably going to be something to be replaced. We accumulate used units, which are going out of service. Now, we were approached by 2 entities about donating two of those. We have four altogether, I think, Alina, isn't it, at this juncture? Four this year? Okay. Two of those, to them, we took the position that both of those were meritorious. The Pontiac Rural Fire Protection District and OSF Healthcare. That being said, there was a concern that, certainly in my part, for instance, that if we started doing this, we would never sell any more vehicles because there are always worthy causes. So, we have here consideration these two requests. However, as a policy matter, we're going to limit it to 2 a year. Now, in any given year, as our police vehicles roll out, this year it happened to be 4 moving out. Next year it could be, I don't know what the schedule, actually, Alina has a schedule, I can't recall it chapter and verse, but, you know, limiting this to 2, our original intent with that program was to take advantage of taking vehicles out of service sooner so we'd have greater resale value. Obviously, when we do something like this, that takes those dollars out of that program. However, these cars are well used, even though they have less miles, they are well used. In this particular case, these are worthy entities. So at committee, a majority voted to go ahead and give those 2 away. So, that said, any discussion in this regard? Okay. Well, that being said, I will follow through with a motion to do both of those things.
Bob Weller, second. Any other discussion? We will be voting on both of these together.
Ready?
Yes.
Vieti. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yep.
Miniga.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Herring.
Yes.
Fitstum.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Wilkie.
Yes.
And Runyon.
Yes.
Well, on that happy note, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Now we move down
Hey,
to Highway
Kathy.
Committee. Miss,
Could I ask one question of Tim there?
You may.
I noticed on the minutes, you guys talk about a highway maintenance shed,
Yes.
moving forward with plans for what?
I believe that is about to be revealed by the gentleman
The highway?
behind
Okay.
you.
What was there? That's why I was asking you.
okay.
got teed up there, Glenn.
Now we'll
I didn't
move,
hear the question. So
now we'll move down to
Steve, could
Highway
you help?
Committee. Mr. Lovell.
Okay, we've got 2 items tonight, a bridge petition for replacing an existing culvert at $9,000, and we've got another bridge petition for scour remediation on an abutment for $15,000. Item A has been pulled tonight, that'll be back later, so basically all we've got is B and C for action items tonight. Anybody's got any questions on them 2 items?
Can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Somebody's asked me if the money that we're getting from the federal $2 trillion package or whatever, can we use that to repair bridges?
Clay?
I don't know if
You're talking about the COVID relief
Talking about
Yeah.
the code.
yeah, like it.
section. So we're going to talk about that this month amongst the group of county engineers, and actually there's a meeting this next week with policy for the county engineers where they're going to discuss some of that. It could be used for bridge repairs, but it has the federal amount or federal strings attached to it. So we have to comply with all of those, and it's part of, or will be considered a part of, all of our federal funds in the end, even though it's got its separate allocation for it. Livingston County's share, I believe, was 244,000 and some change. So it won't go extremely far in the world of bridge replacements, since one bridge costs about $400,000 these days, anywhere from 300 to 400. So most likely is it will become a part of a project that we already have underway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Steve, you doing these both together?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
we'll do both of them together.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion.
okay, need a
Second.
Second by Runyon. Any other discussion?
Just B and C, correct?
Just B and C.
Correct. B and
is
C.
scratched. Okay, roll call, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Excuse me, swallowing water, yes.
Menninga.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Fitztum.
Yes.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Wilkie.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Do we want to talk? Somebody, Mr. Mays had a question for Clay. Do we want to do that now, or does that come back in public comment? Madam Chair?
I
can-
just, it seems like you guys are going ahead with design thing?
So at this time, we had, and I may have to defer to Alina on some of this, but we had some prior year approvals through capital improvements, and we were going to utilize the balances that were still remained from that to work towards a design agreement, which we should hopefully bring to the board next month from an architect, and that would allow us to get closer to an estimate quicker.
I'm sure you're gonna know that question I'm gonna ask you now. Which architect?
Middleton and
Okay.
Associates, they're out of
Is that
Livingston.
just the only one, or you going?
That's the one that we were gonna work with,
Okay.
yes.
I didn't know if we had to go put it out.
Not for the professional services part of it. If you have prior relationship, which we do,
Okay.
we've worked with them before.
I was gonna say, can you explain a little bit on why you want to use Middleton?
We've used them for a couple of other things. I think they designed the jail originally for the county, and then they worked for us on trying to get through our restroom and storm shelter situation a few years back. So we did utilize them once we repaired the restrooms in the office. So we've had reasonable success and had no issues with them before. So
Where are you looking to put it?
right now, the location is north of where the two buildings are now, oriented north and south. It is going to go into the field a little bit between us and the H&E building in order to get the amount of space that we need on each side in order to get the trucks in and out. But we were going to go north and south so that it didn't hopefully limit us too much if we ever needed to add on in the future that direction. But yeah, that's our plan at this point, was to go in there.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we're all gonna have questions about how much dirt to bring in and all that, so.
It's okay. You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I think that concludes my report, and I think we're done with Clay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Mr. Lovell. Now we move down to Public Property Committee. Mr. Vitztum.
Our new building out there is moving along. We got NICOR came in, got the gas lines changed, so they're started on the roof. Drywall's supposed to start Monday, and maybe windows, glass start going in Monday. Um, As for a report on the new building, I talked to the foreman out there, and I scheduled a tour for next Wednesday. If anybody wants to voluntarily go out there and go through it, be there at about 3:30, between 3:15 and 3:30. Hopefully we can go through the majority of the building. If they're drywall, there may be some rooms we can't go through, but that will give you a chance to see it prior to drywall, what the interior of the walls look like, ceiling and some of that. After next week, it could be tough because the full crew of drywallers will be in. You know, since the gas line got fixed, it'll be a little more hectic. So in talking with him, we thought that was the best time. It's a voluntarily thing, so if you could call Lena, maybe that, before that time, so we could have us, that day, have us estimate of how many people will be there. I told him it'd be under 100 and more than 2, probably.
That's the 19th, John?
Whatever, a week from,
Yesterday?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I can't remember what day it is today, let alone a week from now, but, I think that brings us up on that. We have a resolution, and I'm gonna let Alina explain that thing.
Okay, so you have a resolution that is looking for approval of change request 5009. This has to do with the cost of the delay for the contractor, Madison Construction, due to the NICOR delay. We did get them to update it because NICOR has pretty well completed their work out there. The initial estimate was $37,000 approximately per month. We ended up with about an 8-week delay. So the overall final estimated cost is $63,035.48. This will come from the contingency that was built into the contract.
So, I will make a motion to approve that. Need a second?
Need a second. Gerald? Okay, any discussion?
Is there any, oh,
Don?
Did you say 63,000?
Yes.
Am I looking at the wrong resolution?
there was one just sent out this afternoon, didn't you just
It
send
says
one out?
36,000? Oh, 36
Month.
per month.
Per month, yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah, per
Thank
month.
you. Okay.
And what all does this cover?
Did
The
you say what all
63,000?
does this cover?
Yes.
So this covers the additional 2-month cost of the project manager, superintendent, project engineer, the project accountant, their car allowances, additional cost for the trailer for 2 months, the copy machine, internet service, additional cost of the construction fence, temporary toilets and dumpsters, storage fees and storage unit mobilization, and then the 2-month extension on their bond.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Elaine, I got a question. With us back in operation out there, how soon do they think that we'll get back in there, John or Elena, you know?
Get back in there, they're starting Monday.
No,
But
I
when-
mean that we will, how far did this set us back?
Completion.
Oh,
So it's basically,
completion-wise?
yeah, an 8-week delay, so now we're looking at the beginning of August.
Okay, thank you.
What if we vote no? I'm just asking that question. What if we vote no? If we all vote no, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
they'll-
quit working, yeah.
They will
Well-
quit. That's about what it amounts to.
Is what?
They will quit, and we gotta
walk
get the
off the
lawyers
job.
involved, and it'll probably be their lawyers against our lawyers, and,
Well, right now, and I've talked to Alina about this,
Yeah.
shouldn't we have the lawyers involved already? And I know this is kind of, it's a ridiculous thing. I know what went on.
yeah.
But why are we at fault for $60,000 when it was a stupid thing on NICOR's part?
I want.
Now, can you be sued for stupidity?
Yeah,
These days, yeah.
I feel the
So-
same way, but I don't wanna hold that project up, and.
I understand that.
and-
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just saying, If we voted no, what would happen?
So, the one thing that I would say is that, one thing that we have noticed, you know, it's a bad thing, and we definitely will look at if there's any opportunities to recoup those costs. But what I will say is that in no uncertain terms, it is not the fault of the contractor. We have seen where we have these things in writing. There are additional costs to the contractor of this, delay as well.
Why I
And
asked.
so, all I can say is that, you know, I understand why they're charging us, and it's our job to see if we can recoup those costs elsewhere.
If you were building a
fault
house,
either, though.
Bill, if you were building a house and this happened, you'd pay those.
I'd be talking to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh, so you'd quit building the house and you'd go talk to a lawyer? You wouldn't finish what you were doing and then go talk to a lawyer?
Well, actually, I did build a house, and I had this problem, and too many things happened.
How does that not
day
surprise
out
me?
there. Words happen, not. I'm just saying, if they quit working because we vote no, we're not gonna pay them now, isn't that like breach of contract on their side?
On our side,
Why on ours?
because we have promised them they're gonna complete this job and get paid for it.
Yeah, they're gonna complete the job.
Yeah.
I
But it
think,
wasn't their fault that it stopped.
I think, hold your ears,
It's
Jan.
NICOR's part.
Hold your ears, Jan. I think this goes under of act of God. I mean, it happened, there ain't much you can, you know, I agree with you.
No, that's not an act of God.
Well,
No.
okay, we can go back to Julie didn't hit that line, you know, they didn't get marked. We can go back, I mean, it's just a freak accident that happened. And I sat down with them guys out there in that trailer, and, it's the dumbest thing I ever seen, but it happened. And NICOR told them to perform around it, you know, I mean, we can sit here all night and argue this thing, but we almost got to vote yes to keep the project rolling. That's as simple as it gets.
It's
But
fine,
I'm not
keep
saying
going.
we shouldn't maybe have the lawyer look into this or start looking into it, but I don't know that much about it.
So, 2 months this was sitting. I mean, obviously on day one,
No.
okay, whatever, 4 months,
So
we're
the
paying for.
project, the communications with NICOR started on October 25th of last year. Their install date was scheduled for March 23rd. There's clear correspondence that talks about the line to the current building that is still to remain. It also discusses the new construction project. However, when it was time to do that installation in March, somehow it was unknown that we had a new building. So that's where the delay comes in. Then you had to go back through engineering, through NICOR's whole process over again and start from scratch.
They
Hold on.
did the job, though. They understand that they have to go by the engineer's building.
Okay, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm not understanding the question.
If they bid the job, to do the work, they understand we're putting in a new building, they corresponded with NICOR.
Actually, it was the architects that were corresponding with NICOR. That stuff is done in the pre-planning stage, so, yeah.
Okay, hold on, Paul. Gerald was next.
I think to answer Bill's question really well is, we need to keep the building moving. Do we need to address this issue? I think we need to really address it later, and then we can talk and get things organized, who was really at fault, who was to blame, and then if it's worth taking a lawyer and getting things going, I think, but at this point, we're already 2 months behind schedule, which we've had to back up. I don't know if you knew it, we've had to back up furniture deliveries and stuff being stored places that we need it. I mean, I know the whole board probably thinks, yeah, we should vote no, but I think in the best term for the county, we need to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. Mr. Ritter?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to say that I get your frustration. The reality is we have to pay them. My question comes to what discussion have we had with our lawyer and understanding what is the next step, because we can talk about this all we want at this meeting. The reality is we're not the ones who are having the discussion. it should be in our lawyer's laps. And what is the outcome of that discussion? Obviously, we're dealing with whether it's an issue with NICOR or where the issue lies, but the contractor is wanting to move forward. I get the fact that we don't want to pay this, but the reality is we have to move forward. So my question is where are we at on the discussion with our lawyer?
Okay, so the focus thus far has been on getting the work completed. That just happened. This new invoice, the final invoice from Madison, literally came this morning. We have to know what the impact is before we start having those conversations. You need to
So
have
we
those
are
numbers.
starting those conversations
Yes.
now.
Yes, at this point, yes.
And will we, so we won't meet until our next committee meetings or our next board meeting or whatever it is. Are we going to find out that information or we have to wait till the next meeting?
I can't tell you, Paul. I don't know what's going to happen in between now and then.
Okay.
We will give you a response.
Okay.
Next month.
Just trying to understand what the process is.
Mark?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Alina or John or whoever wants to answer it. This 66,000 or whatever it is, that's just to the Madison. Is there was there an additional bill on top of that going to NICOR for the extended line and stuff? And what was that?
There were additional costs to NICOR, and there was another change order that was approved at the property committee for $10,000 for Dries Brothers, Dries Plumbing, to complete the temporary line to the existing building.
Okay.
Linda?
Won't we have to wait till the end of the project to really find out everything? I mean, we can, kind of monitor it now, talk to the lawyer, but won't we have to wait till the end
That's very much so possible.
to do it? And didn't the gentleman on the GLC EDC from NICOR help us out?
He did,
to
and
get it
for
going?
those of you that know him, please extend your gratitude to him. Once he got involved, things did appear to move much more quickly, and so we are definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, that was Bernie Anderson, correct?
Correct.
Yes, okay. Okay. We have not voted on this, correct? There's a motion and a second. Vidstem and Earring. Any other discussion?
I almost think that maybe half of it should be taken care of now, and the other may be looked at the end of the project.
Are you talking about this bill that we're voting on? This-
Yes.
mm-mm. Nope, it's gotta be paid in full.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Can I make one clarification?
Yes.
For those of you that didn't pick up on it, just know that this additional amount is already in the Madison contract. You are not adding any cost to that. We had a $100,000 contingency built into their contract terms, so we're not adding to that contract as of right now.
Correct.
As long as we don't have any more issues, correct. I think we've got we're at 94,864, and I know we have at least one other thing coming, so.
Right.
We're
close.
close. I mean, we have other contingencies as part of the project too, but this is specifically what was built into Madison's contract.
If no other discussion, John?
Not really discussion, but probably, if we do discuss anything about lawsuits, probably should be an executive session, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, and I.
Or did you have something?
Call the question.
Okay.
Yes, call today.
Roll call, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Banker.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Bannon.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yeah, and I just want to say, since I've been on here, we've done all these buildings, and none of them have come off without issues. There's planning, and then the war starts. Okay? Nothing ever comes off exactly as planned, and that's just the way it is. Yes.
Menninga,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Weller,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Mays,
Present.
Lovell,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Herring,
Yes.
Bitstam,
Yes.
Arbogast,
Yes.
Wilkie,
No.
and Runyon.
Yes.
I think that concludes my war.
Thank you, John. Now we'll move down to Sheriff Jail License Committee, Mr. Carly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we have two action items tonight. First one is a proposal by Summerall Federal IGA Solutions. Basically what they're doing is they're negotiating a new contract for us with the U.S. Marshals for housing their prisoners. Last one was in May of 2018. It was a 3-year contract. I think they charged us $36,000 at that time to negotiate it. They want to see our per diem basically go up from $71 today. They're suggesting 91 or greater when they go into negotiations with the feds. They're suggesting, or they have a fee of $34,500 this time. It's less than last time. Originally, we were hoping that maybe we could do it internally, but it would be months, 8 or 9 months at least, for Alina and Stu to do this. And this company is like 3 blocks away from the feds in Washington, so there's won't be any travel for us involved, and time will be fine. It's hopefully going to generate about $400,000 a year for us, and we will recoup the cost of their fee in the first month alone. So to have them do this expediently and have it done, rather than waiting 8 or 9 months, well, we're probably saving ourselves between $300,000 and $400,000, almost over $300,000. So my recommendation is that we accept the proposal to have them negotiate this project for us. And I know that Stu is in agreement with that. He couldn't be here tonight. So I'm going to make a motion to accept this proposal and move this on so they can negotiate for us.
Second by Mays. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Kirkton,
Yes.
Manker, Slagle,
Yes.
Fannin,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Menninga,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Weller,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Mays,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Herring,
Yes.
Bitstam,
Yes.
Arbogast,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
We also have liquor license and mobile home renewal applications. I think we had to table that at one meeting. Alina, you're going to address this, I believe, so.
Chrissy has all the applications here before you. This is the one that was approved by the committee in April and then inadvertently left off the board agenda in April by someone.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mark this on the calendar.
So we need a motion.
Yes.
So moved by Weller.
Weller, second by, who?
I'll second it.
Kirkton, second. All right, this is a voice vote, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you very much.
That concludes my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carly. Now we move down to Ag and Zoning. Mr. Bunting?
Just 2 informational items, no action items tonight. Electronic recycling is June 12th from 9 to 1 out at the old Kmart parking lot. Please spread the word. No batteries. If you bring anything electronic that is coming in to be recycled, please remove the batteries if at all possible. And then on a positive note, Mr. Chuck has started back on a part-time basis this last week. He is doing couple hours, 3 days a week. So happy to have him back, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when we meet next month, he will be back at the full-time basis. So keep chucking your thoughts and prayers as he's making his way back into the office. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
That's good news. Thank you, Jason. Personnel Committee, Mr. Vietti? Okay, thank you. Down to Election Rules and Legislation Committee, Mr. Kirkton?
Madam Chair, we're just about complete with the reapportionment plan that we're going to bring before the board. That'll come before the board next month. One major thing we have to accomplish yet is we're going to conduct a public hearing at the beginning of next month's meeting, and we're going to start that public hearing, I think, Aline, at 5:30, correct?
5 o'clock is what the Elections Committee.
I'm sorry, 5 o'clock? Yep. We'll do the public hearing so the public can make comments about our reapportionment plan, and then we will bring it to the board that night to vote on the reapportionment plan. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Down to Veterans Assistance Committee, Mr. Kessner's not here. Who's the vice chair? Sorry.
I think it's Blackard, and he's
Okay,
gone
he's
too,
not here.
so I
So
don't
Linda,
know if
were
anybody else.
you want to do the report?
Everything's going fine. We had a few more people apply for aid. It had gone down quite a bit. We figured because of COVID funds, but it was back up to 3 or 4, and Tom is still working on his retirement and getting somebody in there.
Okay, thank you. Down to IT Committee, Mr. Bannon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We just met to pay the bills, but we did discuss our preparedness in case of any electronic tomfoolery going on with everything that's going on today.
Yeah,
That concludes.
Okay, thank you. Down to me, Administrative Committee, I have nothing really to report. Livingston County Housing Authority, Mr. Slagle?
Nothing to report.
Hey, thank you.
Meetings next week.
Okay. Down to Mid Central Community, Mr. Wilkie?
Because of deaths and that there, we haven't met, and nothing right now I can tell you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Board of Health, Mr. Station is not here. Mental Health Board, Mr. Vietti?
We meet next Wednesday, or next Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Now we're down to public comment. Mr. Carley?
Yes, I'd just like to take a few seconds here to, I want to take some time to acknowledge 2 people that I feel are doing an excellent job. First is our county board chair, Kathy Arbogast, and second is our executive secretary, Alina Hartley. These 2 people do their job with integrity, honesty, open-mindedness. I would personally like to thank them for the diligence in which they do their job. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Becca?
Thank you.
I just wanted to give you guys all a heads up and an update on the SB 1602. This map is as of today. As you know, SB 1602 was never assigned to committee. However, the language, along with language taking away county rights to zone solar siting, is in the governor's energy bill. This map is the progress that Preserving Illinois County Rights has been working on for 5 or 6 weeks. Right now, as of tonight, well, as of before I got here, we are at 50 counties that passed similar resolutions, including not just SB 1602, but any like language in any other bill that may be discussed. Tonight, we also have McLean, Richland, Crawford, Fulton, Macon, and Wayne. We fully expect those to pass, so we could be at 55 by the end of the night. It's been interesting, to say the least, working with legislators and lobbyists and different county boards around the state. I find it very interesting, some of the organizations that are actually against or for taking away our county rights to zone and to govern, and I'm sure some of you are actually familiar with some of these organizations. I'd be happy to talk to you about them after the meeting, but it's one of the things that has been kind of up and down about it. People that, we thought were actually for our county rights are not. So just wanted to give you an update. I think this group is doing really good, and I really think that we're going to be at two-thirds of the county by the 3rd week of May, and possibly a little bit more than that by the 31st, and they're thinking they may vote on this energy bill by the 31st. So just wanted to give you a heads up, and thank you very much for being the second of 50 county boards to adopt this resolution. Gina? Well, thank you. It's not just me. There's a big group of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's fun getting to know them, and it's fun kind of to go. I sat at a county board meeting today that was 2 hours and 15 minutes long, so it's interesting to see how different counties across the state work. I mean, and it really doesn't matter what the population is. I think the rural counties are pretty much the same, as well as some of the bigger counties. But what shocked me the most, I think, is so far is some of these counties that have no zoning at all. And some of these counties, though, their entire population is the population of Fairbury. So, they don't have the money, they don't have the staff, and they are relatively small counties. But it's been a big learning experience, just watching how different counties work, their different committees, how they do things different or is similar to ours. So thank you for acknowledging that, and I will let them know tonight because we'll be up till at least 10 waiting for these last 5 to come in. So thank you, Gina.
Thank you. Mr. Kirkton?
Yes, ma'am, before you go, I want to tell you thank you. You've been doing a lot of work on this 1602, and you did all the mailings for us and stuff and really stepped up. I appreciate it. I've been getting your emails. I thought 1602 was, for the most part, in your last email I got, I thought it was pretty much dead in the water. That's not true.
It is dead in the water. It has never been assigned to committee. It's still out there, but it's never been assigned to committee.
Okay, so that's good news, right?
It's good news, but because of the way you wrote the resolution, which we've been on the phone almost nonstop since the governor's bill came out, trying to get people, okay, you might want to reword this just a little bit because most of it is about SB 1602. The way you guys did the resolution was great because it says, and any other language like this in any other bill. So we can use that with our lobbyists. Our lobbyists, we're getting them copies of all the resolutions. I'm amazed at some of the comments from legislators that we meet once, maybe twice a week with our lobbyists. We have hired the #1 Democrat lobbyist in the state of Illinois. And it's amazing when we talk to her about, okay, what are they saying? We're giving you this information. I don't expect everybody to know about wind or solar or things like that. What I was shocked about was the lack of knowledge by our legislatures about how things work on a county level when it comes to zoning, no matter what it is. No matter if it's solar, wind, no matter what it is. We've done a lot of educating with our legislators. We've done a lot of educating with lobbyists. And I think it's opened a lot of eyes. And I think a lot of the groups that I thought would be for this, I'm shocked that they're not. And then groups I thought that would be against this, I'm shocked that they are. So that's where we've kind of been learning about that. So the wording is in the energy bill that the governor put out.
Yeah.
But SB 1602 is not going to go anywhere.
So leads me to the second part of my question, and because of the way we wrote the resolution, if anything else comes out, I'm sure you'll let us know, but we don't really need to do another one just because of the way we wrote the resolution, right?
No, because you wrote into it any other wording in any other bill,
Right.
not just SB 16.
So that's good news.
It is. In fact,
Right.
we used Livingston, and the UCCI also sent out a draft resolution. So when I talked to different counties and told them that DeWitt and Livingston were the first two, they said, send me the resolutions. So they basically looked at those two, looked at what UCCI sent out as a draft, and used you guys as model and some others too. So that way we kept them from just being about SB 1602, because we kind of knew it would be dead and it would come out in another bill. So there was only one county that didn't do that very well, but they went to a special meeting and changed it. So,
Well, we absolutely planned for that because Alina and Randy are the ones that wrote our resolution for us, correct? Is the model? And
That, but then I added in, I changed it quite a bit, but.
So then my last question, I'm sorry to keep you up there, FinFan 72, is I noticed that Cook and DuPage are white on here. As Cook County goes, the state of Illinois goes. So I'd really love to be a fly on the wall to know how Cook County is going to vote on this, if they will at all.
DuPage, we're getting there. What's interesting to know is there are organizations out there that there are county board members from DuPage and Cook, Kane, Lake, on organizations that are kind of backing this. They don't mind if the state takes over. So when you look at and see who's on these boards, then you look what county they are, they coincide. So Cook, we don't have a chance. We've been trying. We have been working with lobbyists and legislators up there. A lot of legislators are saying that this language is, they won't vote on the bill if it's in it. Because that's not the main focus here with these bills. It's about the money. It's about jobs. It's about all kinds of other things. So some of them are saying it's a deal breaker for them. Two of them were from around Cook County, so that surprised me because, you know, when you call them and talk to them, we ain't got no land. You know, why do we care? You know, we don't zone for these things. Why do we care? But when you explain it to them that it's really about county rights, and it is about county rights.
That's correct.
And when you look at what they've taken away so far, you can also look down the road and kind of figure out where they're going next. That's how we got a lot of the northern counties on board, was when you look at it that way, which is what you've got to look at it as. That's how we got some of them on board. DuPage, we're really close to getting. It's getting a hold of the right people and many people. So it's been a challenge in some of them. McLean was actually pretty hard, but they're voting on it tonight. It went through committee a couple days ago, and they're voting on it tonight. So we're keeping our fingers crossed tonight. Because I think a lot of them look more at what the words say instead of what's behind it, which is property rights.
Right.
So, been a challenge, but I'm pretty impressed with what they've done. If we're over at half right now, and then we're hoping for 2/3.
Well,
Linda?
thank
Mr.
you
Weller has-
for
Mr.
providing
Weller.
this.
You're welcome.
Okay. Linda?
What about doing witness slips? Would it do any good to send like the committee, the address to do witness slips and how to do it, how to say like individual and self on there? I had given it out to my family to do the witness slips help at all?
Yeah, we have done some witness slips. Now, the two bills haven't been in hearing yet, the South and the Senate and the House, but there is one out there that we created witness slips for, where there's a drop-down menu at the bottom, and then you pick that particular bill. We are asking people to do that. It's been taken off the last couple days, but I do want to encourage all the county board members to do this as well. And also, you guys individually can contact your legislators. I know you did as a board, you know, and I think that's great, but we're all still individual citizens, and I recommend that you do the same, if you have time.
Any other questions for Becca?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask these counties that are downstate that are in white, is it you just haven't contacted them, or what's the?
They have no zoning. Some of them have no executive director. Some of them only have hours of 2 days a week. These counties are pretty small, and they have very small population. They have very little money. They don't have committees. Some might have 3 commissioners. We have contacted them, and some of these, we had another map where we could tell which ones had zoning, which had no zoning, and which had just wind and solar zoning. And that's how we were targeting them at the beginning. Some no zoning counties do have a WEX and a solar ordinance, but they don't have any other zoning. So we did contact them, and that's some of the ones that are in green down there near the bottom. But these other ones here, they say they don't have the resources. Some no zoning did adopt it, some did not, but we're still working on them. But, you know, when they don't have the resources that, you know, us bigger counties have, it's kind of hard for them. I know we're talking about, one didn't even have a computer. I had to snail mail the resolution to her. So, and I think that was, well, it doesn't matter, but I think that one was Williamson. They didn't even have a laptop or a computer, so. There you go, John. I'll send him your card. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Now we need, any other public comment? Now we need that,
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Mr. Weller, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Oh, no, it didn't.
Weller.